What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So today I want to give 6 updates on my favorite stock at the moment in the form of HighTide, which is a cannabis stock in Canada, ticker symbol HITI. So the 6 topics I want to go through briefly in today's video are firstly my current holdings in this stock, and we'll have a brief look at their charts over the last few weeks. We'll then give an update in terms of their debt clearing, which is very important for all of my stocks. Then we'll have a look at some updates in terms of acquisitions, again, which is key in the sector going forward, particularly in Canada and even across the globe as well in this sector. Then I want to give some updates on some key analysts, kind of some news articles here in terms of huge potential upswings. So that'll be very interesting to see will they come to fruition as well down the line. I then want to give an update on their earnings report, which will be scheduled for tomorrow, Tuesday. So that's going to have a big impact on their share price as well. And finally, after all of that, we'll discuss my plans going forward for this stock. So we have a lot to get through in today's video. So with no further ado, let's dive right on into it. So now here we are on my trading 2-on-2 portfolio, which is now worth just under €10,000 at €9,919. We're up 18.5%. So all in all, I'm very happy here. Now, HighTide, ticker symbol HITI, is one of 33 of my holdings, and at the time it was the only penny stock within my overall portfolio. But since the 14 or 15 to 1 reverse split, that is no longer a penny stock. So now let's have a look at how my current position is performing. So we can see on screen now that my current position is just under 40 shares at 39.1 shares. We're down about 5.45% as it stands. Now that's not too bad considering it was down about 20% or so only a few weeks back. So I'm quite happy to see that we got in at a much cheaper price back then and dollar cost averaged in. Now I haven't bought any shares within this stock over the last few weeks, mainly because it was coming back up in value. So I just wanted to wait for another dip and kind of load up on some cash. Currently over the last week we can see on screen here that it's up 9.79%. It's currently trading about $8.25 and my average cost is about $8.80 at the moment. On screen now we can see a list that I compiled over the last few months on some kind of catalysts or fundamentals going forward for this company, which was in favor of their stock price. So that's kind of one of the main reasons why I firstly or initially invested into HighTide, because it has so many fundamentals and catalysts going forward, and particularly at the time as a penny stock, it was very appealing to me because it looks sustainable, and definitely that is still the case in my opinion. So we went through all of these in a lot of detail in prior videos, which I'll link in the description below, or if you wanted to pause this video to see the full list here and if you wanted to look through them. But again, today I want to focus on kind of 4 main new topics in terms of kind of clearing some more debt, the new acquisitions within this company, some kind of interesting articles from some analysts in terms of big returns potentially going forward for this stock, and also the earnings report that's looming as well, which will certainly be of big significance for the stock price. Ever since investing in HighTide at the beginning, there was kind of 2 things that really came to mind and why I wanted to invest in this company. First of all, when it was a penny stock, I really wanted to clear a lot of its debt, and that's the first point here as well. And the second point was that they were always trying to merge in acquisitions with other companies within the sector, which was definitely the way forward and a great business model in my opinion to follow, especially in this cannabis sector within Canada. So it might kind of seem quite obvious on why it's very important for companies to clear their debt, but kind of in synopsis here, it's got to do with liquidity and visibility of the stock. Now also it's going to remove some main obstacles to acquire new credit. So again, this is all pointing in the right direction for HighTide. And as I said in many prior videos, if you really do look up anything on HighTide, it's very hard to find any flaws in what they're attempting to do within the stock. We've also seen earlier on the Word doc, I had a point on that in terms of getting on the NASDAQ, and they've done that a few weeks back, which is of significant importance for this stock. Now we can even see here that some analysts are pricing in over the next 12 months for the stock to be at about $16.23. Now that would be a 99.09% increase. So as you can imagine, that is probably easier said than done, I know. But again, for some kind of strategists and analysts to be making these predictions certainly is not of any kind of negative news in my opinion. Now also, by getting on the NASDAQ and by clearing some of this debt, it's really starting to increase their popularity, and also it's making it a lot easier for investors to see through the stock. And as mentioned, another point why I really liked HighTide was because all the business strategic models they were ongoing with in terms of mergers and acquisitions since looking into this company have been all positive, and they're still non-stop looking for new mergers and acquisitions. Now again, this overall cannabis market, especially within Canada, there's a lot of competition, but they're a lot smaller, a lot of the companies are in terms of HighTide, and mainly because HighTide have a fairly substantial cash flow at their disposal, so they'll be able to acquire and merge with a lot of these smaller companies and kind of have this kind of Pac-Man feature in terms of eating up all the small ones. They become the main kind of overall cannabis company within Canada. One of the reasons why I really liked all the mergers and acquisitions that they've undertaken since looking into this company originally back about 6 months ago at this stage, probably even 8 months, was that they've started to rectify some of their small minor issues which was kind of holding them back, and one of these was e-commerce. Now, by getting the Daily High Club and merging or acquiring this stock, they now hold 3 of the top 5 most popular e-commerce sites for consumption of this product, with 91 million site visits in 2020, and 23 million of those have come from the Daily High Club, which is a significant importance. We can also see here from the bullet points above that by acquiring the Daily High Club, they have now access to another 15,000 potential customers in their subscription box, but more importantly, they're really increasing their online presence and social media aspect as well, which is very important in today's world. We can see here that they have now access to over 800,000 followers on Instagram and 75,000 followers on TikTok. Now again, this mightn't seem a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but by acquiring and merging with all of these smaller companies, this will really start to add up in the long term. The Daily High Club is certainly no kind of minnow either. It's already sold over 1 million products with their name branded, so that's of a significant importance as well going forward. We can also see here that they've got about generated $9.4 million in income this year, or over the last 12 months, should I say, and 1.2 million of that is the earnings before the interest, tax, depreciation and adjustments have been taken place. Seeking Alpha have a very interesting article here and kind of summarizing the overall scheme of things of why they're getting superior returns and why there has a lot of potential going forward. For example, the top point here is that HighTide, or HITI, has went up over 272% over last year, which is insane. It's also in a sector that's ever increasing of popularity and interest, so the popularity is never going to go away in my opinion, especially in this sector. So it's going to be continually market demand here. And even the third point here, it currently has 87 stores, and that's thanks to all the mergers and acquisitions as well over the last 12 to 14 months. So again, their kind of goal here is to have 200 stores, so there's definitely a lot more room for growth and to even increase their overall share price. As mentioned earlier as well, what's really going to go in their favour going forward is that management have started to clean up their balance sheets significantly by getting rid of a lot of their debt, and that's really kind of quote unquote here is grossly discounted company's potential in terms of the share price. So I really do feel, and we even seen earlier, that one of the analysts thought they could go up 99% in the next 12 months. There's definitely a lot of room for potential growth within the stock. And what I really like to see as well is that it's not just journalists or YouTubers like me or anyone else kind of upping this stock as such. Now obviously you know everything I say is not financial advice, so you need to do your own due diligence before investing any of your hard-earned capital, but it's nice to see as well that some kind of respected, qualified financial advisors are starting to hype this stock up a bit in terms of giving us some well-deserved ratings, in my opinion, of buy ratings. So again, over the next few months, I'm really interested to see how the stock is going to perform. They have definitely a brilliant foundation in place, in my opinion, as well. Now, tomorrow, as stated, which we'll have a look at now very briefly as well, is that their Q2 earnings for 2021 will be out. Now, as you know, over the last Q4 of 2020 and Q1 of 2021 have been very promising. Again, I'll link descriptions in the video below, in the description box below, of those videos where we went through those reports. So everything has been going in the right direction with this company, and even if they can keep up some bit, it doesn't even have to be as good, but if they can keep up the same kind of progress over the last 12 months, this stock is only going to go one direction, and that's up. So as stated earlier, the earnings report is scheduled for today, actually the 28th of June, but however, tomorrow probably will be when the results actually start feeding out to the general public. Now, I probably will make a video on this probably tomorrow as well, depending on when this overall results come out, but I'm very interested and eager to see how the stock is going to perform. Now, in terms of my plans going forward for this stock, I don't really buy around earnings reports because, as you've seen by many companies in the past, including HighTide, that even if they have a promising earnings report, it will spike, but once the kind of news dies down after a few days, it will start to consolidate and come back down again. So again, I'm a long-term investor, so it's nice to see good earnings reports, but that's just one kind of dot in the overall grand scheme of things. And finally, in terms of my plans going forward for this stock, I'll always remain bullish on this company. Now, even when it was down about 20%, I was buying a few shares here and there just to get my overall average cost down, because long term I do believe this has a lot of potential. Now, over the last few weeks, I haven't bought as much as I probably should be, mainly because the stock has been coming back up in value, so I didn't want to affect my overall average cost too much, and also because I didn't want to neglect all my other 32 stocks as well, which I haven't invested in a long time also. So that's probably one of the main reasons why I haven't bought into HighTide. Now, as said, I'm really looking forward, that is, to their overall earnings Q2 report. That'll be out this evening or in the morning. So I'll probably leave it a week at least until the dust settles, as I'm a long-term investor. So if it starts to drop down again, I'll be sure to have my cash reserve built up and ready to invest even more. So that's pretty much it for today's video. I just want to give some brief updates on some of their main catalysts for HighTide. I'd be very interested in the comment section below your thoughts and opinions / predictions on how the Q2 earnings report will go. In my own opinion, I think it'll be quite positive, but again, we'll see in the next few hours or so. Thanks very much for watching. If you made it this far, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday, and I will see you all in tomorrow's video.